Hey, good morning, English 173. Happy Thursday. It is May 21st. We are flying through the month of May. We're going to be to the end of good old Huck Finn pretty quickly. Thank you to all of you. You've submitted to me what project you've chosen for the Huck Finn final project. Really interested to see what you guys create. And so I'm excited about that. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about some things going on in the book. And in this video at the end, I'm going to pose a discussion question for you that I'll also post on Google Classroom that you need to respond to. Think about final exams. There's not going to be an official final exam in this class. But what I am going to do is some sort of culminating short writing that you're going to have to do that is going to connect in some way. I mean, I know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to give it away right now. Connect in some way the books that we've read this year. And so that'll be done during like finals time. I'll probably post that sometime next week before we get to that point. And then, the grades that'll go into grade book still, I think there's a couple that are outstanding, but your final project and then this final writing. And the final writing is not going to be worth a lot, right? I mostly want to see that you've, where your thinking has grown to. If you have questions, shoot me an email. Okay, let's talk about Huck Finn. So I'm going to talk about chapters 28 through 35. And I'm going to just do kind of a quick summary. The whole section, Twain spends several chapters on the Wilkes family and the con that the Duke and the Dauphin are trying to do. The big thing there is Twain, because he was a riverboat captain, saw con men all the time, and he saw these sorts of things happen. He saw innocent people swindled of money. The main thing that comes out of that, or the most important thing, is Huck's heart. He shows compassion when he doesn't want the girls to get swindled. He doesn't want them to lose their money because he understands that the Duke and the Dauphin are bad guys. I mean, just straight out. So he's trying to help the girls as best as we can. There is an interesting incident on page 240, 241, where Huck has something of a crisis of conscience. And I want you to go back and review on page 240. It starts at the paragraph, "Once I said to myself, it would be 1,000 times better for Jim to be a slave at home where his family was." And it ends, it continues actually onto page 242. And it's before he gets to the Phelps sawmill. But on 242, all right, then I'll go to hell. This is important, and it's going to be the basis of one of the questions. So page 246, if you go there now, Huck finds out that the Duke and the Dauphin have basically sold out Jim. They've sold him, and Jim is now on Phelps Farm. And page 246, a lot of people think the book should have ended here. With Huck gonna head out there, or at least Huck knowing what he's gonna do, and kind of leave it at that. But Twain goes on, and actually at this point in the book, on page 246, Twain put the book down and put it down for the writing of it for a couple months, trying to figure out what to do. But what does he do? He brings Tom Sawyer back, and part of that is a question you're going to answer, why you think he brings Tom Sawyer back. There's this whole piece around pretending. This is, again, a time where Huck is pretending to be somebody else. He's pretending to be Tom because family is trying to hide his identity. On page 249, there's this scene with Aunt Sally, where he talks about this steamboat being blown up, and he shows up, and Aunt Sally says, was anybody hurt? And Huck says no, an N was killed, and Aunt Sally says, well, it's lucky because sometimes people do get hurt. It's just Huck or Twain continuing to devalue or show the devaluation of Black people. It doesn't matter that a Black person got hurt when the steamboat blew up. Sometimes people get hurt. Blacks aren't people, is what Aunt Sally's saying. And so we know that Tom Sawyer returns. There's going to be some interesting conflict coming up with Tom. But where I want you to go next is page 260. At the very end, actually, if you go over to page 259, last paragraph on page 259 that starts, "On the road, Tom, he told me all about it." And then just read to the end of chapter 33. Tom Sawyer, he says the same. This is also going to connect to the question on conscience. The last couple chapters, there's a fair amount that's happening, but we're trying to figure out. We've got Tom and Huck together. There's some information with Aunt Sally and stuff. The conflict hasn't started yet. They're going to go looking for Jim in a little bit, and that becomes sort of the end of the book, and we'll talk about that later. So what I want you to do is go to Google Classroom, and there's a question posted there. And I'm not going to have you do a video. I'm just going to have you do a question thread. But answer the question, and then I need you to respond to at least one of your peers to the question that I'm going to pose about what's happening. If you need anything, shoot me an email. The assignment deadline for your project for Huck Finn is posted. Don't be late with that. If you get it done early, just submit it. If you're doing a piece of artwork, you can take a photo of that artwork and submit that. And don't throw away that artwork because I might want to collect it from you. If you're doing a poem, you can submit that, but what would be even cooler, read the poem. Create a wee video of yourself and submit that. If you're doing a presentation, I want to see the presentation, obviously, and there's got to be some explanation of what you're doing. Follow the rules and the directions that are listed for each of the different assignments. I'll talk to you soon. Go to Google Classroom and look for that question. Bye-bye.